Welcome to this session. Today we will be talking about the concept of logic, few important terminologies related to logic and the structure of syllogism problems. Now let's first understand few basic terms. One is idea and one is judgment. What is the difference between an idea and a judgment? So if I say I have any mental concept in form of words, I can say it's an idea. So if I am trying to speak about any phenomena or any term in a simple statement, say my name is Manishika. Now this statement, what I am trying to do is, I am trying to express my idea that came to my mind. But this statement cannot be judged as whether it is true or false unless and until I have a kind of statement that helps me provide or two or more premises, I should say, which would help me judge whether the statement is true or false. So understanding whether a statement is true or false is important. For that, what I need to do is a sort of mental comparison. And that mental comparison is known as judgment. So if I am trying to say that the idea can never be true or false, if I am questioning that, I am trying to do a mental comparison, and that comparison is known as judgment. The end product of judgment is always enunciation. This enunciation can be either agreement with truth or disagreement with truth. If I say it's an agreement with truth, that means there is the chances of formal truth that can be established. And if I say it is disagreement with truth, I can say it is a formal falsehood that is established. So this is how we understand what is idea and judgment, and the end product of judgment, which is known as enunciation, can be understood in two ways. Either you are agreeing with truth or you are disagreeing with truth. Now let's understand the third term, that is logic, and in this case we would be specifically referring to deductive logic. Deductive logic was foremostly propounded by Aristotle. So Aristotle gave the concept of deductive logic in the first concept of reasoning that he talked about. And under deductive logic, what I try to understand is, I have two or more premises, and based on these two or more premises, I am trying to draw a conclusion. And this is what is known as deductive logic. Now let's understand the meaning of preposition. I have a statement here, all birds are animals. Now this is a statement which is known as preposition. So under preposition, what I am trying to do is, I am trying to have a subject and a predicate, and the arrangement of the subject and the predicate can be in any fashion. Either predicate can be first or subject can be first. But what is required for a preposition is, I have a statement, that's the first requirement. That statement should have a subject, a predicate, and a copula. Copula is also known as the linking verb. For the time being, let's ignore the first letter. The first word I am ignoring here, that's all. Now I am left with birds are animals. So here birds becomes the subject, animals become the predicate, And what is the linking verb which is trying to connect these two? That is are, and that are is known as the copula. It is also called as the linking verb. So are, is, was. So these are all copula, and these copulas are considered as a mental structure that are just given to help you understand the framework of the statement or the preposition. So for now, under preposition we are trying to understand a subject, a predicate and a copula. Now let's understand what does this all mean. Besides the subject, predicate and the copula, you also have a term which is known as quantifier or qualifier. Let's understand what is quantifier or qualifier. So the next thing that we would be understanding to help us get knowledge about the syllogism problem is quantifiers, or we also call it as qualifiers. Now this is a diagram of a square of opposition that we have already talked about in a separate session. Why I am bringing this in view here is because I am trying to help you understand the concept of quantifier and qualifier. So when I talk about quantifier or qualifier, I mean two basic things. First is whether the preposition is a universal preposition or a particular or specific preposition. And secondly, whether the preposition is affirmative in nature or it is particular in nature. So when I say universal means it applies universally, and when I say particular, that means it applies only in some cases. Now A, E, I and O. Let's first understand the meaning of those. A means universally true. So all, every, all of us would be kind of words that would be included in A. Under E we would include no, none and words like this. So this is universal. I am saying all of us are citizens. That means I am including each and every citizen or each and every person and telling that he is a citizen. No means I am not even including a single person. So both of these stands as universal truth. So they are universal elements or universal quantifiers. And particular, if I say some, so some birds are animals. So I am talking about only few birds which are animals. It's again specific, and here I try to say some are not. That means some birds are not animals, the remaining birds are animals. So both I and O are particular in nature, A and E are universal in nature. So that's the first quality of a quantifier or a qualifier that we have talked about, whether it is universal in nature or particular in nature. The next quantity is, rather dividing it horizontally, I now divide it vertically. So I say both the terms here are affirmative because it includes all and some, and they are denoting a positive meaning, while these two terms are negative because it says no or none and it says some are not. So it's a kind of negative preposition that I am trying to say. So qualifier and quantifier can be of four types. It can be either universal or particular. Under universal, it can be affirmative or negative. Again, under particular, it can be positive or it can be negative. So particular negative would be O, particular positive would be I, universal positive would be A, and universal negative would be E. So here I try to explain what is A, E, I and O, which we have understood in the class on square of opposition, and these A, E, I and O are known as qualifiers or quantifiers in a preposition. So let's now move back to the same statement where we have already discussed what is the subject, what is a predicate and what is copula. Now what is this all? The all here denotes a quantifier or a qualifier. So this was what we have understood about prepositions. Now let's move on to syllogism. Under syllogism, we will try to understand the structure. So I have the structure here. I have two premises. The first premise is known as major premise. The second premise is known as minor premise. Based on these two premises, I have a conclusion. Now, the first and the foremost interesting thing, or I should say rule of the thumb that you should follow, the conclusion can never ever be same as the premise. Can never be same as premise. That's the first and the foremost thing you need to remember. The next thing, if you try to understand this statement, I have the first premise says all birds are animals. The second premise says all parrots are birds. And the conclusion includes parrots and animals and it cancels out the bird. So the bird here, which is being cancelled, is known as the middle or the common term. And the most important thing here to understand is, in the syllogism problem, you would have two premises and there would be always and always a middle term which would be a cancelling term. That's the next rule that you must follow while solving a syllogism problem. The third thing is, from the premise and from the two premises, one would give you the subject and the second would give you the predicate. So as you can see here, from this one or the major premise, I get the predicate, and from the minor premise, I get the subject. So for the conclusion, you would have one premise that would give you subject and the other premise that would give you predicate. So these are few things that we will understand for now. Let's move forward. Now, this diagram helps you understand the various combinations of the cancelling term. So the term that is M, that is written in the 1, 2, 3 and 4 cases is the cancelling term, and this cancelling term can be arranged in various fashion. So if I have a simple box and I say I have two red circles that I want to arrange, I can arrange it in two ways. I can keep it here and here. The next case can be I can keep it here and here. The third case can be this combination and the fourth case can be this combination. So these are the four combinations that you are trying to understand. So this is what stands for 2, this is what stands for 3, this stands for 4 and this stands for 1. So these are the various combinations of the premises that you can make under a syllogism problem. Now when you are making various premises, there are few rules that you must try to understand. First of all, while solving any and every syllogism problem, you must start with a Venn diagram. That would never ever let you get confused in any of the questions of syllogism. The next is, if I have two positive premises, if I am saying all birds are animals and all birds are animals and all animals are God, for example, then there are two positive premises. So the conclusion that I will draw from it would be positive in nature. The next is, if there is one positive and one negative, then the conclusion would always be negative. And if there are two negative premises, I can say likely there would be no conclusion. Now let's understand how I said this. So this is a combination that I have tried to explain for the universal positive. So U stands for universal. So in the first case I am talking about just the case of universal quantifiers. So when I am taking universal quantifiers, I am including the case of positive and negative. So if the two prepositions are universally positive, the conclusion would be positive. For example, all birds are animals. Second says all animals are God. Therefore, I can say all birds are God. So what I am trying to do, I am trying to make two premises, and based on that I am trying to draw a conclusion. I have a cancelling term, that is animal. One subject comes from one term, predicate comes from another term, and the most important thing here is, for any syllogism problem, it's very important that you do not try to apply it to real life. So it's something that you are assuming, and you consider this assumption to be true in itself. You don't consider this assumption to be practically true. That means you can say, oh, animals are not God. How can you say these kind of statements? But here you are not judging the statement as such. You are considering this statement as true by itself, and then try to compare these two statements and formulate a conclusion. So when I say I have two positive universal statements, my conclusion would be positive. If any one of the statement is negative, if I say no animals are God, then I have to say no, because my conclusion would be negative. Definitely, because there is one premise that is negative in nature. And if I have both the premises which are negative, I cannot say anything about the conclusion. Now this was simpler when I am talking about universal statements. If I have both universal and specific statements, so under the AEIO format, if I have a combination of either A or E versus I or O, what would happen? If I have first a statement that says all and the next premises that says some, my conclusion would say some. So this is premise 1, this is premise 2, and this is the concluding statements. So if I have one premise is all, another is some, my conclusion would be some. Even if I interchange it, I do this way, the result would remain the same in this case. But if I have one premise which is universally positive, that is all, and some are not, then I can say some are not would be true. You will understand these in more detail when we will be solving problems related to syllogism. And we apply the similar method to all these cases, but the most important thing to understand here is, if there are two cases, both of which talk about specific or some, either it is some or some are not. In both these cases, I cannot conclude anything affirmatively. So I cannot give any conclusion. So no likely conclusion can follow if both the premises are dealing with specific elements. So these are the basics that we have talked about, the logic and the structure of syllogism. You can continue to understand the concept of syllogism in the subsequent lectures, where we have talked about the various conditional validity forms and the unconditional valid forms of syllogism. We would be understanding the concept of fallacies in the further session. You can subscribe to Exam Race channel for any further updates. Till then, have a good day ahead.